guys, and welcome to today's episode of the BAMcast. I am your host, Baker Shields, and it's my goal to help you to learn, grow, and evolve by any means necessary. Today, we've got a solo episode really for the purpose of updating you guys on kind of the season that I've been in, why, there was no episode last week, and kind of just filling you in on where I'm at as far as what's going on in life and in business, which I think is a big part of kind of what this podcast is being transparent and being super open and super real about what it really looks like being an entrepreneur and what that kind of takes. So to give you guys an idea of the last, I guess, 10 11 days and where I've been at over the last 11 days, I think I pulled the data yesterday, I have had 109 Zoom calls, right? So if you put an estimate to that, 30 minutes on average a Zoom call. Typically they probably go to 45 minutes to an hour, but 109 of those over the last 11 days. And that is not including one-off phone calls or FaceTimes or Slack huddles or anything like that. As I sit here, my entire, I've been averaging very little steps per day. Still doing a lot of working out and doing as much as I can at least. But my kind of command center has been, calendar on one screen, Slack on another screen, Zoom on one screen, notes on one screen, AR on one screen, a couple of Stripe accounts open at all times. Like, it's been absolutely insane on both sides. So BAM and AR have both experienced a good amount of growth over the last several weeks. We hit our best month ever in AR last month. So that felt great to hit that. But it is, we're just kind of in a season where the companies and the teams and all the SOPs and everything are kind of going in a direction where it's very much uncharted territory for myself and Mike both in the AR side, and myself and Addison in the BAM side. So we're trying to kind of navigate this on both teams and make sure that we do what's best for, number one, the clients, but also for the future clients and prospective clients and us as a team and employees. So it's been a crazy ride. I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've grown a lot. But really, guys, one thing that I kind of want to get across and just address is that people a lot of times think getting into entrepreneurship is just going to be a cakewalk, and all of a sudden you become your own boss, you set your own hours, you get to do whatever you want. And the reality is a lot of entrepreneurs, and I was definitely I fell a victim to this at the beginning of building both these companies. Really, a lot of entrepreneurs get in and they end up building themselves. I was talking to another friend of mine who was actually on the show, Bradley. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, but a lot of entrepreneurs end up building themselves their own prison, really, and building themselves a job that they need vacation from, that they need to escape from. And full transparency on my end, one of a realization moment where I came to that realization for me was last year, right after Kinsey and I got back from our honeymoon. And what had happened was we were, I'd been very open with everybody kind of leading up to this on both the AR and the BAM side that I wanted to be able to unplug, enjoy what was, the happiest week of my life, and be able to, just focus on Kins and focus on just, building our connection, starting off our marriage right on the right foot. And, I'd been putting in crazy hours at that point as well. And I just wanted to be able to step away. I feel like I'd earned the 7 days to kind of just chill, right? And just pour into my relationship and be there present with her. And I feel like she deserved that as well. She always does. So on the way back from the honeymoon, we had an amazing honeymoon. On the way back, I remember starting to get texts from all the companies, right? Eubora, the equipment company, had taken a huge dip in sales. BAM was having some struggles and some fires. AR, a lot of struggles and fires. And it was kind of just like a moment where it just kind of hit me. And I remember having this feeling in my chest where it's like, am I not going to be able to take a vacation ever again? Like, is this what's going to happen to me every time that I want to get a second to breathe or get a second to be like alone? Like, is this what's going to happen every time? And I remember thinking, like, what is the point in building these if I can't ever get a breather from them, right? If I can't ever step outside of them. And then I remember also thinking, why do I need a breather from something that I'm building? Why am I building it in a way that makes me need a breather from it. And so that kind of shaped how I've approached these last, I would say 18 months, or I guess last year, 14 months since the honeymoon. And it's been a lot of what my focus has been is making sure that, number one, the businesses can function without me, but number two, they function in a way that doesn't force me to need a break from them at all times. And so that's a lot of the things that I'm going to kind of talk about today. But one thing that I really want to address as well: entrepreneurship requires sacrifice. It requires obsession. And I don't use that word lightly. All right. You have to be obsessed with what you're building as an entrepreneur for it to truly work. Because you cannot just show up a couple of hours a day unless you're well established and you've already gone through the obsessed stage. You cannot show up a couple hours a day and expect your business to run, expect your business to grow, expect leads to come in, or expect any type of motion to happen if you're not willing to be obsessed, to work long hours, to sacrifice nights, to sacrifice weekends, to do the things that's required to make it grow. Okay, one of the quotes that I have for you guys today is: growth is not automatic. If you're going to grow, you have to grow on purpose. All right. And we talk to people all the time inside of AR, inside of BAM. It's, hiring a coach or a business coach or signing up for a software such as AR. It doesn't automatically grow your business. You still have to do the things that are required for you to do the things that you want to be able to do. This is kind of a quote that went viral a couple of years ago, but if you want to be able to buy things without looking at the price tag, you've got to be able to work without looking at the clock. Right. And that is like it's such a fire quote. And I feel like it's been overused because that went so viral whenever it went viral. But guys, it could not be truer. Like, you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to do the crazy obsessed things that are required for you to be uber successful. You can't take the path that everyone else is traveling on and expect different results from everybody else. Okay. Another quote that I have for you guys: you have to sound crazy to a lazy mind. I put on my story the other day that I've done the 109 Zoom calls in the last however many it was days. There's a lot of people that were like, bro, what the heck? Like, why? And stuff like that. But there's also a lot of people that said, like, hell yeah. And this is awesome, man. Or keep grinding. And those are the type of people that I am just naturally drawn to, because they understand why that happened. They understand why I subjected myself to that. The people that thought it was crazy, that were like, WTF, like, why are you doing this to yourself? The people that responded to those things kind of just automatically solidified for me that those are the, not saying that they're the lazy minds, but those are the people that don't get it, right? They don't get it yet. And maybe it's because they haven't been subjected to it. Maybe it's because they haven't witnessed it, right? Like the people that have lived with me, Kinsey or Tucker or people that have kind of lived with me in the past, they've seen me do these types of things and subject myself to these types of schedules for years now. And they've seen the results of that, right? They've seen the fruits of those labors. But if you've never been exposed to that by anybody around you, then you also probably don't understand, because you've just never been desensitized to that type of work, or never understood that X plus Y equals Z, right? For just lack of better explanation. Hopefully that is making sense. So you have to be willing to create your environment. Okay. Another quote that you guys have heard on the BAMcast is: I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me. Okay. And acting upon your environment, creating it and molding it into a product of yourself, a product of your own creation, it's a verb, right? It takes intentional, calculated, long, obsessed hours of work. It's not something that just happens. Okay. You can't just step into an environment and exact change upon it. You have to step in with the intention to exact the change that you want to be able to exact on it. Okay. What a lot of people that are both in the fitness side and in the coaching side, or trying to grow their business with AR, what we hear a lot is, pushing stuff to a potential start date in the future. Okay. What we hear a lot is talking about excuses of why things aren't happening the way they're happening, or life getting in the way, or, this isn't the best time, or I'm too busy right now, or maybe it's not the right fit, or a bunch of different things that we hear on both sides, right? Fitness and business. And Mike has this great quote where he talks about, You have to treat your business like you treat your fitness, because most fitness coaches understand that you just have to do the things day in and day out inside of their fitness to achieve the results or achieve the look that they're looking for. And they teach their clients that. So that's very easy for them to understand, that you have to take that same mentality and put that in your business. And then your business will grow just the same way that your fitness has. And so we love using that quote and talking about that. But also, a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two, and they don't understand how to apply that to more than one area of life. So on one side, they'll typically be good, right? Whether that's at their work or their school or in a relationship or something. On the other side, they typically apply the same excuses that they swear not to apply in other areas of their life. Okay, whether that's education or coaching or fitness or business or anything like that. Like, they'll apply certain principles to one area that does well, and then not understand that those certain principles have to be applied over here. So another quote is, stop playing with your potential and setting start dates in the future you never seem to stick to. Stop waiting for the perfect time or perfect environment. The clock is ticking and it's not going to slow down for anyone. Start now. And if you're listening to this and you feel like that could be a sign for you, I promise you it is a sign. I can't tell you how many times I've, even with like a lot of the hours that I choose to work, can't tell you how many times I've seen something like that, whether it's on YouTube or listened to something like that in a podcast or seen a reel or a TikTok where somebody said something like that. And then I look at it and like, am I working as hard as I possibly could? And then I'm like, nah, I could do it. I could do more. Right. And then I look at it as a sign, and then I get it in gear. This is your sign. Okay. If you're listening, that's your sign that this is something for you, the listener listening right now. If you have been somebody putting this off, whatever the thing is in your head that you're thinking of right now, it is time to get started. Okay. If you want to do things or achieve things that other people are not doing or achieving, you have to be willing to put in the work that other people aren't putting in. All right. So do it. One of my favorite quotes, if you guys have listened to other episodes of the Bamcast, is I guess it's kind of like a scenario or a scene. I don't know how I would really describe it, but Will Smith has this amazing interview from a long time ago. You'll if you look it up, you'll find it. But you just look up "Be Willing to Die on a Treadmill" Will Smith, and you'll find the video. It's one of my favorite videos of all time. But he basically gets asked in this interview, why do you feel like it's something to the effect of, why do you feel like you've achieved the success that you've achieved in acting when as quickly as you have, right? Or why have you continued to elevate your acting career over this amount of years so quickly, or so just at a crazy rate? Again, video is much better than I'll ever describe it, but he says it's super simple. I'm willing to die on a treadmill. And the person's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, it's simple. If you, talking to the interviewer, and me get on a treadmill and start at the same time, there's two outcomes. Okay. I will either die or you will get off the treadmill. I'm willing to die on that treadmill. I'm willing to outwork anybody in any situation at anything. Okay. And that's a mentality that you truly, as an entrepreneur, especially. Okay. And also, guess what? In your health and fitness, because you're only going to have one body. And if you don't treat it right, the alternative really is dying. And it's not the way that you want to die. Okay. But I think this is such a brilliant illustration of entrepreneurship, especially because so many people look at this as like a hobby or a side hustle. Okay. And it's fine to have your side hustles. All right. It's fine to have your main hustle as well. But you cannot expect a side hustle to produce main hustle results, because you're not putting in the work required to make it become your main hustle. All right. And you're also not using that obsession and using that mentality of being willing to die on the treadmill to being willing to risk the things that other people aren't willing to risk to receive the payouts other people aren't going to receive. You're not willing to outwork your competition. You're not willing to go above and beyond for your clientele to service them in a way that the other people are not going to be servicing them, right? Your competitors. So that quote or that video, I think everyone should watch it, but I also think everyone should take a piece of that mentality and bring it into your everyday life, because it is so important to understand that it is not sunshine and roses being an entrepreneur. Okay. There's a lot of tough talks. There's a lot of sacrifices. There's a lot of strains put on personal relationships, on friendships, on romantic relationships. I know Kinsey gets the brunt of everything that I, all of my sacrifices that I make. She gets the brunt of it usually, and that's super unfortunate. And I wish there was a way to make everything perfect and balanced. But the reality is I am building today for a better tomorrow. Okay, and I do everything I can to make sure that she knows how appreciative I am of her and everything she does to keep just us and our household on track, right? And do all the things that she sacrifices on that end. I'm trying to match that and go above and beyond on my end to make sure that she has the life that she wants to have, right? And that our kids have the lives that they want to have, and that I can create something that not only serves its purpose today in today's time for us, but also tomorrow, next year, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and even for the next generation, right? So that's my goal, and that's where the treadmill mentality kind of comes in. But that's where that quote's from, and I think you guys should watch the video 100%. Another quote that kind of goes along with everything that I'm saying that I included in here is, every once in a while you get a chance to prove you are who the, I'll say F to keep this one a clean episode, you say you are. Okay. And if you don't take advantage when that opportunity arises, you're not. You guys have probably heard me mention that one before, but it's also extremely true. I've seen time and time again, what mostly in the business coaching side of things, where an opportunity might fall on a coach's or a business's lap, and they kind of just like mention it in passing a while later, and it's like, wait a second, what did you just say? And then they talk about this opportunity that was a literal gold mine that fell in their lap, that they didn't have the time to, or it was during the weekend or whatever, they couldn't take advantage of it. And it's like, if you get that opportunity and you don't take advantage of it, then you're telling the universe, right, I am not worthy of this opportunity yet, pass me up next time. And you can't have that mentality as an entrepreneur. You can't have that mentality as a business owner. You can't have that mentality in life. So if you're someone who's going to talk about, being this person, right, being meant for more, which most of you guys, especially if you're listening to this podcast still, most of you guys are meant for more, right? You have that feeling at least that you're meant for more in life. If you get that opportunity, if you get an opportunity to prove you are who you say you are and you don't take advantage of it, you are not that person. All right. And it's time to either come to terms with you are not that person, or it's time to realize that when opportunities come near you, even near you, right? Not to you, near you, you must grab them and you must hold on and you must run with it at all costs. Okay. By any means necessary, right? Not to be cheesy there, but it's a huge portion of what makes a great entrepreneur is chasing opportunity with reckless abandon, chasing things down, making things happen, creating things. It's not always going to fall in your lap, but when it does, you got to run with it. When opportunity pops in your lap, even if it's something you're not super comfortable with, you got to run with it. I listened to Joe Rogan talking on Instagram the other day about how this Netflix special that he just went live with this past weekend, I think it's one of the first ever live comedy specials, like broadcast live comedy specials. To give you guys an idea of what typically goes into a comedy special, they'll usually book out an event venue for like a week, and they'll do 6 to 8 shows, I believe, of the same exact material, wearing the same exact outfits, and then they'll clip the best pops with the crowd, the best delivery, formats that they use, the best stuff that they from each show, and then they'll make it into one concentrated hour of time. So the stakes are relatively low because they're going to do this same routine 7, 8 more times, and they're going to choose the best from every single portion of the show, and they're going to make it into one perfect or as perfect as possible special that later gets edited and then later gets posted. What Joe Rogan did was he did a complete 1 hour live special, and he talked about how he just he was so nervous for it, and that's the reason he did it. He said it scared me, and you guys know that I'm a complete psycho when it comes to those things. I love doing things that scare me, that make me uncomfortable. So when he got approached with the idea, he knew he had to do it because it was something that was going to really push him. And also, guys, they usually work on these specials and try to hone in this content, the same content, for like a year plus in advance, leading up to this 7 or 8 showing. And so I don't think he took that much time with it. I know he'd been working on the special for a while based on what he said, but he did the entire thing live in one take, and that was all broadcast live for the world to see, and then posted immediately on Netflix. So no edits. Okay. That's the type of stuff that you have to take advantage of. Okay. So if you get an opportunity as a business owner to go speak in front of a bunch of people on your business that falls into your lap, take it. All right. If you get the opportunity to pop on another podcast and talk about your business and what you're doing, take it. If you get an opportunity to do anything that can show you are who you believe you are or who you want to be, step into that opportunity and make it happen. Last thing, I've kind of alluded to this one several times throughout the entire episode, but don't follow what most people do because you don't want the results most people get. I forget the exact statistics, but Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozy talked about on the Modern Wisdom podcast. The average American is obese, likely divorced, and has less than $1,000 in the bank. Okay, that's the path most taken. That's the default path. To give you an idea. Let that soak in real quick. All right. So if you follow the path most taken, that's where it's going to lead to. So being above average is not that hard in 2024, 2025, and beyond. You need to do what most people aren't willing to do to achieve the results most people will never achieve. Okay. And I want to leave you guys with that today. So I know it's a very different type of episode. I'm big on keeping the promises that you make to yourself. And one of my promises was weekly uploads. And I missed that last week, being so kind of just, ingrained in everything that was happening inside the businesses. So I am posting this week a day late for that purpose of keeping this promise. I'm going to do my best to continue to line up guests for you guys. I've got a guest already lined up for next week. And a few of the weeks prior, after that, I should say, I've got guests in talks, just getting scheduling stuff figured out. So we will be back to regularly scheduled uploads, and I appreciate you guys more than you know, just sticking along with the ride and just kind of, I hope you guys like this format and just the full transparency, because I'd like to be able to do these things every once in a while and just update you guys on exactly what all is taking place, both personally and professionally, and what all I'm dealing with, because I think that whether you're ahead of me in the entrepreneurial game or behind me in the entrepreneurial game, I want to learn from you, right? I want you guys to be able to learn from me so that you guys can surpass anything that I've ever touched or created. And that's ultimately my goal, is that we can all learn from each other, because a rising tide lifts all ships. So that's the goal. And I hope you guys resonate with that and resonate with the things I kind of talked about today. So any feedback you've got, if you leave it in the form of a review on any type of audio platform or in the comments on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming episodes that we have coming up, or follow the show on any type of audio platform that you might be listening on. And again, I appreciate you guys, and I cannot wait to see you